Chef Vernon Price, and welcome to another 202 Creates Masterclass. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to Mayor Muriel Bowser and Director Angie M. Gates for allowing us to celebrate, support, and educate the district's creatives through 202 Creates.
Thanks a lot to Mayor Bowser for having us. This 202 Creates movement. It's allowing us to share stories and share what's going on in the DC scene throughout these past years. So, Chef Vernon, you want to give us a little introduction on yourself and your little background on the DC scene and everything that you've come through.
Okay, so I'm Chef Vernon. I was born and raised in DC, so I'm a native to the city. I went to DC public schools, left DC public schools, went to Cheney University. Went to Cheney University to be an educator. So I taught a little bit, went out into life. And then as life grew and got a hold of me, I kind of had to take a step back. And in taking that step back, I kind of realized, I need to do something that makes me feel good about me and that's important to me. So culinary school was it. So I decided to go to Le Cordon Bleu in Orlando. I went to school for 2 years and I actually lived in Orlando, but I worked at the Ritz-Carlton in DC. So I would work 8 days at the Ritz-Carlton, fly back to Orlando 1 day a week to see my family, come back to DC for 8 days, fly back to Orlando to see my family. And I did that for about 2 years until I decided to move completely back to Orlando. And like the first day I moved back to Orlando, I bumped into an NBA player. And he's like, yo, I need a private chef. So I started private chefing for some years for a couple of NBA players. I did that for a few years, and then I decided to come back to DC. So here's where I am. How about you guys?
Well, our stories, that's great that you got to study at the Cordon Bleu. That's a great school. We actually have one in Peru as well. We are, my name is Giuseppe. This is my brother, Mario.
Mario.
We came up a little different. We came to the U.S. to Northern Virginia, actually to McLean, October 5th, 1997. I was 14. My brother was 12. We actually went to McLean High School for 4 years, and we love sports. We come from the ocean, from a small town in Peru called La Punta. It's a small town, and everything that had to do with us had to do with fish. And my dad owned a restaurant in a large pontoon boat that we, worked there when we were children, way before you could actually work. And my uncle actually owned another restaurant in a yacht, and that we also worked there. I was a server there, and my brother was actually the person that drove the boat to bring people from the dock to the yacht.
I was the taxi driver, the boat driver, the
captain.
Yeah, no, we went to high school here. We were really into sports. When we were done with high school, when I was done with high school, I was recruited to go to the University of Washington in Seattle for rowing. There I rowed for about 4 years, and then I was invited to row for the U.S. national team. I was able to go to the Olympics in 2008 and the Olympics in 2012, representing Team USA for rowing. And, I had a great time there participating and made great friends there. After that, I came back to the U.S., and that's when my brother, he'll tell you his story now, how we all ended up back in D.C. after 8 years of, being apart.
I mean, while my brother was training every single day, 3 times a day, I managed to get my captain's license, got my Oceans Master's degree, and I went to Spain and I worked for this Spaniard family, captaining their sailboat, their 72 feet sailboat around the Mediterranean, around the Balearic Islands, Ibiza, Mallorca, Minorca, all those nice places. And I would not only captain for them, take them around, but also cook for them as well. Thankfully, I had my background on seafood cooking, a lot of them, so they would be very happy with whatever I would make for them too.
So pretty much we come back here at the end of 2012 after me being an Olympian, my brother being a yacht captain for all those years, and coming back as an Olympian. It's nice to be an Olympian, but you come back not with a lot of money in your pocket just because you've been dedicating yourself to representing the U.S. And my brother came back with a little more money on his pocket, but we wanted to do something that really meant something for us. My brother was also a bartender at a high volume bar here in DC, and I was the head coach at Georgetown University for the rowing team. So in the meantime, we were both doing that. Like you said, we wanted to do something else, and that's when we decided to open a food truck. My early memories of me waking up in my house is me waiting for my brother to wake up so he could cook breakfast, and the same thing for lunch and dinner. He always had that's something that I didn't have, or not a lot of people had, which is he would throw something together and it would be delicious.
That is the touch, Chef Vernon. I'm pretty sure he knows.
Yeah.
So we decided to open a Peruvian truck back in 2013 with some of the things that we missed from Peru. We want to open something that represents us, that we missed from Peru, that we couldn't really get in the streets of Washington, D.C., which is Peruvian food. Nowadays you have many Peruvian restaurants, but back in 2013, there were not that many at all. So we came up with a menu of things that we missed from Peru, some sandwiches, some empanadas, some sides that we didn't have here. We tried to make that into a food truck menu. We opened the first food truck in 2013. 2014, it went really, really well. We opened a second food truck. We opened a third food truck. And, we ended up doing well in the food truck scene. We got to cater many different events, whether it was inside the White House, the Peruvian ambassador's home, the Peruvian embassy. We were selected to open a pop-up restaurant for the Smithsonian Folklife Festival back in 2015, I believe. So ever since we've been growing little by little by experience. Now we have a restaurant inside La Cosecha Latin Market in DC, which we were so proud of being able to develop that. And we expanding our menu to different things. Now we're sitting here in a program that Mayor Bowser put together to be able to tell our story and chat with you, Chef, about different challenges and different experiences that we've had.
So what are some of the different challenges and experiences that you've had with getting started and maintaining and growing?
Well, we can start by having the first food truck. When we first started, there were about 60 food trucks. By the time, before COVID, there were about 700 food trucks. So we had to keep the quality high and be able to expand and keep the quality, which, it's a hard thing. And also the other challenge is that we opened our restaurant in February of 2020, a month before the pandemic hit. So that was also a challenge, but we're still here and we're still thriving. So we're happy to be here.
That's good. And like I say, for me, some of the challenges with starting and growing is trying to make a menu that will attract people. But, just like I know, simplicity is what you have to go for. Not trying to reinvent the wheel, but taking the wheel that's already been put before me and making sure that wheel is intact. So that's been one of the issues with maintaining and growing the business, and realizing that the business is not just cooking. There's emails that have to be sent. There's people that need to be talked to. Invoices need to be created. So a lot of times you're in the kitchen and you'll work, until the wee hours of the morning. But then when you come home or when you sit in your office, the paperwork piece has to be done. So I find myself working until 2:00 in the morning, but then I got to get right back up at 4 because I need to be the first person at the markets because I want to get the best of the best products. So that's one of the challenges with starting and growing the business that I've faced.
So yeah, your day pretty much starts at 4 a.m. and ends at 2 a.m. The lucky thing about us is that we're two. So The way we divided the company was, we're in our catering kitchen right now, in our center of operations. So from one side of the wall, it's my area. From the other side of the wall is my brother's area. So, we have a team now, thankfully, where, we run a catering company, we run the food trucks, we run any sort of pop-ups that we have, plus the restaurant. So our biggest challenge is probably growing a team, not only a good team, but a team that you can trust. We come from a sports background, so you're only good as your weakest link.
Exactly.
Finding the people that you can trust, and finding the people that believe in the same common goal, which is bring great service and great food.
Right. And just to piggyback on what you said about the different areas of the business, I don't think a lot of people realize that catering is different from restaurant, different from food trucks. So one of the things I had to learn early on is just with the equipment alone, I have to, with my work vehicle, I have to take all of my street food supplies out, the tent, tables, and out, and then replace it with catering supplies, because the catering job is a lot different than the street food event. Or like now, one of the areas that I'm working within is corporate lunches, because I have a contract with the Department of Defense. So I provide lunches for about 6 Department of Defense buildings. So I had to outfit my organization or my business to support lunch catering, which is way different than street food, which is way different than dinner catering, which is way different than teaching about classes. So whenever you have these different aspects of your food business, there's a roller coaster that you have to be okay with being on, because you won't survive if you don't. So you got to go from catering to meal prep to baking to making cookies, then back over to lunches. And so I'm pretty sure you guys understand that.
We always have to be moving things around in the kitchen, getting ready for specific occasions, or it's like baking 2,000 pieces of protein, to putting a wedding together, to sending a food truck out. Everything is different.
Yeah, everything is.
No, and just to piggyback right from what you just said was, and my brother just said, last year with the whole COVID-19 pandemic and everything, we had to be ready to do not only the restaurant, but now everybody want to have individual boxes of food. So we couldn't just send the food truck out there with food to sell, but everything had to be packaged individually. Whether we do a construction site for 600 employees, or whether we also have a contract with the U.S. Naval Academy, and then we have to be up by 3 a.m. to make sure all the food was made fresh. The 5,000 pieces of food that we had to send to them, and it had to be packaged well at temperature and everything. So it's always a challenge to keep growing.
Yeah, like you said, you go to sleep at 2 and then you wake up at 4. So there we go.
Yeah, you have to be built for this.
Exactly. You have to have the love.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you guys, and I kind of got an idea, but I just want to hear, your words. If you were not cooking, well, what is it that you would be doing?
If I was not cooking right now, I would like to be like I used to be before, in the middle of the ocean on top of a sailboat. That's why I'm working so hard right now, so I could be able to one day get me a sailboat and go for it.
Yeah, like that.
What about you, Giuseppe?
If I was not in this business right now, what I did right after I came back from the Olympics was to coach, because for so many years I had so many people helping me through life. And coaching is not about only coaching rowing, but it's getting individuals to try to get to their highest potential. Okay. So I did that at Georgetown for 4 years while we're getting this business up going. So if I was not here, I would probably be coaching either in the collegiate level or in the national team level. Okay. I just feel like there was so much given to me that I wanted to give back to other younger people. What about you? You're a chef that I actually went to school to being a chef and everything. What would you be doing?
If I were not cooking, I would actually be a school teacher in the public school system. I'd be a history teacher. History has always been one of my strongest subjects. And if not teaching, I would own a touring business in DC, and one of the focuses would be, or in the DC area, because one of the focuses would be the contributions that African Americans made during the Civil War. And because we're in this area where there's a rich history of the Civil War, there's a lot that people don't know, and I just like to spread it and teach. And because I love DC, I'd be teaching DC to everybody who had open ears. So I'd be teaching or owning a tour business.
Welcome to your classes, Chef.
Oh, please do.
Chef, so I guess, do you feel like cooking is a therapy for you?
So cooking definitely is a therapy for me. When all is troubling me, I can always go to my kitchen because that's my happy place. When customers come pick up their food or people come visit me in my kitchen, they say they like to kind of sit back and watch me because they call me the dancing chef or singing chef because I always have music playing, and I don't care who. Like, you ever heard that phrase, dance like nobody's watching? I always dance like there's no one watching. And
you're in the shower.
I can bachata, merengue, salsa.
Even the cameras are watching you, Chef.
Always. My kitchen is my happy place. How about you?
Therapy for us, Mario. Why don't you start? You think?
Well, I think cooking is a therapy, but starts before just the cooking. It's more like I can't wait for March every year because I like to grow. I always have a greenhouse in my house. I like to grow my own stuff. So the therapy for me starts there, from planting the seeds to seeing them grow, different types of vegetables. I like to eat my own veggies through the season. I usually don't buy them at the store. I kind of sustain my own self from the greenhouse. So that's where therapy starts. Every afternoon, I come back to work, I check on the plants. And then the most fulfilling thing, like where the therapy ends, is when you cook what you grow and then you eat it and then you feel that freshness, basically.
Therapy for me, that's a heavy question. Therapy for me would be, in simple questions, the simple answer is grabbing a very good piece of steak and cooking it perfect.
Yeah.
There's always that fear in my mind of, I just spent all this money on a perfect piece of steak and I just want to make sure that it's perfectly medium rare from end to end. Yeah. So that having that satisfaction of letting that piece of steak rest for 10, 15 minutes, just looking at it, hoping that it's going to be perfect, and cutting it with your most sharp knife and just making sure that piece of steak is perfectly cooked.
Yeah. And you bring up the word fear. After I gave my answer about therapy, I was thinking about the fear. So I can make something 100 times in a day. I am so fearful that when I give it to someone, that they won't like it. So it could be something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I've made a million times. But until I get that, it was okay, chef, my heart is boom, because I don't want to make a mistake, because in this business, you're only as good as your last plate. So the opposite of the therapy part is wondering if I did a good job, because I don't want to give something to somebody or feed somebody some food that's not up to my standards or to their standards, or something that I wouldn't feed myself or my child.
Yeah. Even though I feel the same, even though you know that you did a perfect job, it's about the other person's paladar, So I'm always looking at people's facial expressions so as to see if they like it or not. I could feel easy, because otherwise you're nervous. And
yeah.
That's my biggest fear too, to make sure my brother is making the right thing.
One of the tricks I use is I'll send that email, saying thank you for choosing me, just to pull the whether or not they liked it out of them. Because sometimes people will eat your food and they'll like it, but they'll move on to the next because to them it was just a meal, but to you it was you giving them a piece of yourself, and you want to make sure that they received as close to a perfect piece of you as you can offer them. So I like to kind of pull the answer out of them a little bit, just so I can keep the down to a minimum.
We're seeing eye to eye on this one.
Yeah.
It's something that it's what we do. We want to make sure it's perfect every time.
Yeah.
And as the team grow, it's a matter of teaching the next person how to make it perfect as well, and how to have the same feeling inside of you when you're giving the food to somebody, that piece of chicken or that piece of steak or that sandwich is perfectly toasted and the meat's not dry, it's perfectly cooked, and you get the right amounts on each plate, and at the end of the day, that every customer is happy, which is really hard to do. That, after 9 years of being in this business, we, like you said, we want to make sure that we give the food to people the same way we would like to eat it. Hopefully the majority of people would like it. That's what we go for. But if there's one or two people there, here and there, that just have a different palate, and you have to understand that as well.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna like your food. So
yeah, chef, as a chef, who is somebody that you admire? You're an influence for you, somebody that you look up to.
Alton Brown. I am a huge Alton Brown fan. Alton Brown. So when I went to culinary school, I learned really quick that culinary school is not a place to go to learn how to cook. They taught me the science behind food and how to run a business. And Alton Brown, I'm not sure if are you guys familiar with Alton Brown? He had a show on Food Network, and he still does some work. But his show was more about the science behind the food. And that was one of the things that I gravitated towards. So you watch his show, he talks about, if you do this to food, then this happens to it. If you try this and this doesn't work, this is because, or if you open up a cake and it's too crumbly, that means you overmixed it, or things like that. So my thing is more about teaching and the science behind the food. And Alton Brown offers me that. So I would be head over heels to meet Alton Brown, or to even fellowship with him, or follow him, to be his understudy, just so I can gain more knowledge about the science behind the food. How about you guys?
So there's so many techniques and ways of cooking different types of food that there's no one. There's all of the chefs that I see, I admire, because every single one of them uses different ways, different techniques. Obviously, there's certain techniques for certain foods that you need to cook it so it comes out right. Like I said, making a ceviche, you don't cook, or if you make a fish sometimes, or you put it on the oven, or you grill it, or you fry it. So I admire everyone that spends time in the kitchen trying to make the best that they can. Tell you the truth, I don't have one chef that I admire the most, but I do admire all of them. I do admire you as well, Chef.
I appreciate it.
For me, it's a little different. I'm big into the cooking shows from Emeril Lagasse back in the day to Gordon Ramsay now. But for me, it's, you have to be a hard worker. This business is not for everybody. I see my parents that brought us here in 1997, literally with one hand in front, one hand behind. And saw how they worked their butts off to get us something, to get us to a place where we can develop our skills. So just seeing the hard work that they did and they're still doing, we run a family business, so our mother is our COO. She makes sure that, we can actually have the money to spend on what we need. But yeah, I would say, the most influential person will be our parents from just the hardworking point of view of being in this business. And, this business, a lot of people want to become a chef. A lot of people want to run their own business. But at the end of the day, it's be able to multitask, like you said, and be able to stay up till 2 a.m. if you need to, wake up at 4 a.m. if you need to, run a triple shift if you need to. And, it's something that you have to have in the back of your mind in order to succeed in this business.
Okay. When you're walking through your kitchen, is there that one thing that you may see a staff member, it's not even a staff member, you're just someone in the kitchen doing, and you want to say, stop, let me show you, or that's not the proper way to do it? One thing that kind of like plucks your nerves. Is there that one thing that you see that makes you want to just tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, let me show you this a better way? Is there?
In La Cosecha, in the restaurant, the way people season the food, it's like just like the way you pinch like the salt, the pepper, the different spices, instead of just putting it on a spoon or something. I'm like telling them, just pinch with your 3 fingers.
Yeah.
So you can see exactly the amount that you are putting instead of just throwing it on the spoon,
Yeah.
So the way it's closer to you're gonna be more perfect just than throwing it with a spoon. So I just don't just pinch the salt, pinch the pepper, just pinch the spices.
For me, it would be my biggest thing is just grab that plastic spoon and just try every single dish before it goes out. Whether it's the juice of the ceviche, whether it's the meat in the sandwich, whether it's the juice of our sauté plates, just you don't have to eat it. You don't have to do anything. Just taste it every single time. That allows a next level of how to assure that the food is always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
What about for you, chef?
So my only pet peeve is the way people hold their knives. I am a knife skills guy. And before I knew what knife skills were, I didn't care about it. But once you learn about something, it's like, okay, this is the reason why a knife is built the way that it's built. So whenever I'm walking through a kitchen and I see somebody just holding a knife like that, and what I'll do is, and I try not to be overbearing with it, but I'll pull my knife out and then show them the way that the knife is designed. And you put your two fingers here and you wrap your finger around the handle like this, and then you push through the knife and try to let them know that it's all about safety. I've noticed, because I work in a shared kitchen, there are some people who will use those machines to chop things. And I always tell them, don't abandon your knife, because you're going to go some places where you won't be able to take that big contraption into some of these facilities, and you're going to have to rely on your knife skills. So it's okay to use that for large production, but you still have to stay close to your knife and your knife skills. So for me, it's more about people not being safe with improper knife skills. Yeah, it kind of makes the little bit of hair I have left fall out.
You got to keep them really sharp.
Yes, keep it really, really sharp.
What's something that you're really proud of, chef?
Okay, so I'll give you a little story. I used to be proud of it until I sat down and thought about it, and then I'll give you something I'm really proud of. So years back, before I started cooking, I entered a sweet potato pie contest. And I go to this contest. It was in Daytona Beach, Florida. So I make the crust, I make the pie, I entered the contest. I won the contest. So they were like, you didn't make the pie, you didn't make the pie. I said, I did make the pie, I made the pie. But I looked around the room, and these were all older women. And so I take the award and I get home and I'm bragging about it, and then it hit me. Oh, snap. I just took somebody's bragging rights away from these older women who probably look forward to this every single year. And here I am, a newcomer, sliding through. So they probably are super upset. They never, ever invited me back again. So I was proud when I won, but not proud of what I did. But most recently, I got my year-end review for the contract where I'm working. And out of all the companies who shared the contract with me, I had the highest sales for the year. I had the highest level of professionalism for the year. I had the highest customer service for the year. I had no negative remarks out of 100% of the people that they surveyed. So I feel real proud about that.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. How about you guys?
Well, I guess for us, for me at least, I'm really proud of two things. One of the things that I'm very proud of is the team that we're building. Okay. People that want to create the same thing, people that want to grow the business to where Peruvian food is not just a simple cuisine. Whether, we want to compete with the American food, with the Chinese food, Italian food, French food. And, I know my brother and I have the same thought, but now we're building a team that want to do the same thing. That's one of the things that I'm very proud of. The other thing that I'm very proud of, and it sort of started as a thing that our customers ask, is our hot sauce. Our hot sauce is something that, we had it from the food truck. It was my brother's recipe. It's an avocado hot sauce. It's a pepper that you can grow in the U.S. that we actually bring from Peru. And then my brother used to make it. And, when we were in the food truck and when we go to the same, place twice in a day, because it was very good for us. Let's say, Farragut Square by the White House. People would eat food the first day from us. And then the next day they wouldn't come eat food from us because there were, 30 other food trucks. But they would come and say, hey, can I have a little bit of hot sauce? So we were like, oh, let's bottle it. So we ended up bottling the hot sauce, and then, how can we make it, Peruvian? So we decided to put a little hand knitted hat, a little chullo on top of the bottle, like and make it like that. And all of a sudden we start selling that and that more and more and more. So we ended up nowadays we buy in large quantities these little handmade hats from women artisans in the mountains of Peru. So everybody talks about giving back and things like that. Our way of giving back is actually buying these little hats from women artisans in the mountains of Peru. So instead of these women knitting and having all these crafts, grabbing them from their homes and then going all the way to the markets and then going back and things like that, we get to give work to these women at a better way of life, and that way we get to put them in every single hot sauce bottle that we sell here, whether we sell it in the restaurant or on our website. And that way it's good for us because we get to represent Peru in the most authentic way, which is a handmade piece from Peru. And we get to send money back to Peru. And it's a win-win situation for everybody.
I like that. I like that a lot. And to touch on that, giving people a piece of Peru, one of the things I make, and I probably go through maybe 20 gallons of it every 2 weeks or so, is Mumbo Sauce. I am a Washingtonian through and through. And I am one of those people who believes Mumbo Sauce goes good on everything. So I always try to introduce Mumbo Sauce to everybody who comes to the city from everywhere. I incorporate it in my recipes. I have shirts that say "Got Mumbo Sauce" because I want people to love and know and admire DC. And like that's it. To me, that's one of the introductions to DC. So I definitely understand and respect you guys wanting to give people a little bit of Peru in everything that you sell. Big ups.
Absolutely. It's definitely, you could be a chef, you could be an entrepreneur, you can be whatever you want, but you got to have a backbone and represent your city or your country or something more than just giving people food, and you want to put something a little extra on it. Yeah. So it's something that we're very proud of, and it's something that it's very important to us.
So, question: if there's some young chefs or even people, well, when I say young chefs, I'm not talking about age, but just chefs who are just getting into the business and they want to make a career out of this. What is some advice that you want to that you would give to them to help them with their journey in becoming a career chef?
The same way we started, or I started, we were young, just not really knowing how to cook. But in all these years, I've learned so many things in the kitchen. I would tell them to be sure to, if they're getting into the kitchen industry, to be sure to be 100% on top of the horse, because if you're not, there's gonna be times where things are not gonna go right. But if you're on top of it from 4 a.m. until 2 a.m, most likely you're gonna succeed. So it's a hard job, yes, and to really be sure to go for it and to really respect the team that you built on, because those are gonna be the ones that are gonna back you up when you're not there.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mentor a few entrepreneurs here in Virginia as well, and the biggest thing I tell them is, you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get knocked down here and there, and to make sure that you learn from it, you adjust, you better yourself, and then you move forward. And everything that comes with that is not gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be hard again. And that's why the reward is going to be so big when you get something positive coming back. Yeah. Same question for you, Chef.
All right. So I usually give people the same advice that was given to me. So if there's a chef who wants to work and not be an owner, I tell them this: stay in a restaurant no longer than 3 years. And this is the advice that was given to me. Use the first year and a half to learn as much as you can about those recipes, about the organization, about everything that restaurants offer. And then you spend the second year and a half planning your exit strategy so that you can move on to another place where you can do the same thing over and over again. And if you are a person who wants to be an owner, then you have to cook, try things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's why they make trash cans, and learn as much as you can and if you have questions, ask. Because a closed mouth won't get any answer. So you have to open your mouth and ask. There are no stupid questions in the kitchen. The only stupid questions are the ones that don't get asked. So that's my advice to a lot of young people.
100% agree with you. Communication is the biggest thing for us. We always have this say, like, don't just ask, just talk. Because the minute you stop talking is the minute that you can't communicate with somebody, the minute you can't get better at anything that you do, the minute you close up to yourself and you can't move forward.
You about to say something, Mario?
Yeah, I was gonna say, being also the mood, the kitchen, you always have to be in a positive, happy, outgoing mood. You cannot never bring stress. You have stress in the kitchen, you cut your fingers.
Yeah.
So you gotta go in the kitchen stress-free and in a good mood. And even though it's hard work and it's hard to be in a good mood in the kitchen because you know you have a lot of work ahead of you.
You gotta dance, you gotta sing.
You gotta dance, sing, and act like nobody's watching you.
And to piggyback on what Mario, my question that I'm about to ask kind of piggybacks, will piggyback on what Mario was just saying. It seems that you guys have a support system. But how do you balance life? How do you keep a work-life balance?
We don't.
I have a 1-year-old.
Oh.
So it's and a family and a home, same as. So it got harder. It got harder because of the sleep. It got harder because you're always thinking about them or doctor's appointments or making sure that nothing is missing at home. So I try to finish my day at a certain time. Obviously, there's days that I have to go overtime. There's days that I start earlier. There's days that I start later. But I will tell you again after the season is over, because the busy season is about to start. So we're about to start. I'm going to have to start managing my life in a different way with my family at home. Now it's not super busy, but I don't know how is it gonna be on March, April, May, June, July, those busy months. So, but I'm pretty sure we'll make it work somehow.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's it's something that after 9 years, we know that January, February is usually a little slower. So those are the month or months that we get to do. I get to do more at home. I get to spend more time with family. But last year, for example, June, July, August, September, it was, there would be 14, 21 days, 30 days of nonstop working, of going back and forth from the kitchen to the office to home, not really having a lot of time off. So letting your loved ones know that it is the life it is. And this is what we've chosen, and having that balance of, hey, I may not have the weekends off for multiple months in a row, but I'll have, some more weekends off in the months of January, February, where we can do other things. But yeah, it's very important to have a good family support in order to be able to continue and to grow. What about you, Chef?
So with me, what I try to do is build my business around my family. I know that my daughter gets out of school at a certain time, so I'll work until that hour when it's time to go pick her up from school. Go home, help her with her homework, feed her, give her a bath, put her to bed, and then there's some nights I'll go back to the kitchen to finish. Then on the weekends, if I have any events on the weekends, I'll make sure we have this thing we call Big Breakfast Saturdays. So I'll wake her up early enough so that we can sit down and have a really huge breakfast. And because I always talk to her about work and food, she understands that there are days where Dad can't go. Like Saturday, she wants to go hiking. It's like, well, Dad has a dinner party Saturday, so we can't go hiking. So she's like, okay, I understand. So Daddy, if you don't work on Sunday, can we go on Sunday? So I'll make sure that I make time for my family, because my family, I'm a family man. So my family is my energy. Without them, I'll fade away. So I make sure that I always include time for my family. Even when I'm doing meal prep, I meal prep for my daughter first, before I meal prep for anybody else, because I wanted her to know that she's extremely important, and none of what I'm doing works without her and my son's support. And then for my personal time, whenever I have time to myself, I fish and I hike. During the summer months, I fish. The spring and summer months, I fish. During the colder months, you'll find me at Great Falls or in West Virginia, at Harper's Ferry hiking and doing things like that. Because remember, I wanted to be a tour guide, so I like to get out and go to these places where, important pieces of the Civil War took place, just so I can feed the side of me who wants to be a teacher and a tour guide, and the side of me who needs to get some of this aggression out on the side of a mountain.
What kind of fish do you like to go for?
I fish during the warmer months. So what I do is I'll start fishing when the cherry blossoms are about to start budding on the trees. So I started West Potomac because it's full of mating rockfish. So I'll go out and I'll catch rockfish until they start to swim out to the Chesapeake, and I'll follow them out to the Chesapeake. Once it starts to get cold in this area, then I'll switch over to bluefish, white perch, and things like that. And I also, maybe every 4 or 5 weeks, will take a trip down to Florida and do some circle of life fishing for grouper, jack, pompano, whiting, whatever's running, I'll go out and do that. And I'm not a fan of, I'll get on the boat, but I haven't figured out how to not get seasick yet. I do the old trick with a Jolly Rancher and some water, but it still gets me. So I'll go out on a boat every now and then to do some deep sea fishing. But I pretty much will, in this area, it's the rockfish for me. But then when I go down south, it's the stronger, like jacks and grouper and things like that.
Excellent. We come from a fisherman family. My dad is actually an artisanal fisherman in Peru.
Okay.
And I was more into like the surfing part of it. My brother was also big into fishing. He can tell you a little bit about his fishing trips with my dad.
Yeah.
It was more like net fishing and spear fishing, scuba diving at nighttime. So we'll go to this island off of the coast of La Punta. It's called San Lorenzo Island. So we will go there at 5, 6 in the afternoon, and we'll wait for the sun to go down. So we'll go underwater with a water light and a air compressor sphere.
Free dive.
And we'll catch flounders. Flounders is what Peruvians, the main fish that they use for the classic ceviche.
Okay.
Like the top fish for... I think it's the rainbow flounder, the one that we have down at the Pacific in Peru. Mm-hmm. And then we did a lot of net fishing also. We had a 17 feet rowing boat with a little outdoor motor, and we'll take nets and we'll circle around the rocks, circle around the islands, and then we'll catch, none of the names that you just said in Spanish. They're called pintadillas, cabrillas. There are different types of fish, but the flounders is what they know here. We'll spear fish for them at nighttime, like I said, and we'll just sell them the day after. We'll go with my dad a lot. That was his way of income, catching flounder and selling them.
Okay. So is there one particular item you guys like to cook versus others?
I will also obviously pick a healthy one, so I'll go for the ceviche.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't need a fire to cook it or anything. You just grab a bag of limes, couple of red onions, salt, and go fishing. And you make your own ceviche.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? If there's anything that you would have to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
God, that's a loaded one. So I used to eat a lot of hamburgers. I wanted to open up a hamburger spot. So there was this one time where I would write recipes for hamburgers, and I was eating different hamburgers every day. And then I got sick. I was like, okay, the hamburger deal is off the table. But I'd have to say pancakes. I don't eat them as much as I'd like to. But I am a fan of a good pancake. I try to eat them once a week during my daughter and I's big breakfast Saturday. But I am, if you tell me there's a good pancake 100 miles from here, I'm going to check it out because I want to taste it. I am a fan of just a basic plain pancake with the crispy edges. That's my thing.
I hope the pancakes that you make are from scratch and not from the box.
I make them from scratch. Yes. And my daughter and I actually make the batter together. Because I want her to understand. I want her to be able to take care of herself. So we always get in the kitchen together and we make the batter from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, for me, reality and a dream would be different. And reality, you want to keep it healthy. So a good quinoa salad packed with veggies, you get anything from carbohydrates to veggies to protein. But if I have to eat one thing, like I have to go back to just eating that perfect piece of steak every time. Chef, how do you handle rejections or setbacks in your career?
When it comes to rejections, let's say there's a person who don't like my food. I am okay with that because I was trained that not everybody's going to like your food. If you make 7 items, be lucky that people like 4 of them. And I keep that in the back of my mind, the middle of my mind, and in the front of my mind. Not everybody's going to like your food. When it comes to setbacks in the career, I look at setbacks as an opportunity to grow. There's no way to possibly think that everything is going to go your way. If that were the case, then everybody would be doing the same thing all the time, over and over and over. There would be any diversity. So setbacks, I don't look at it as a problem. And most recently, I saw a guy say, okay, you have 30 minutes to cry about it, to complain about it, to beat yourself up about it. But then after that, get back on the horse and keep riding. So I always try to find a silver lining in everything that goes wrong because there's a lesson to be learned in everything. How about you guys?
No, I gotta agree with you 100% in there. As a business owner and somebody that we do food, we're gonna have setbacks or of whether the food didn't come out perfect or we didn't prepare well enough for a festival or things like that. You have to come back, study the situation, see what went wrong, see how you can fix it, and apply your experience to it and make it better for the next time.
Yeah.
For me, a setback, obviously, it's when somebody doesn't like the food, but I was taught also that no, everybody's going to like your food as well. I agree with you. Learn from your mistakes, grow, like you say, and keep getting better and better. That's never think that you're doing it wrong. Just think about how you can make it better.
We have one funny thing about Peruvians since we do Peruvian foods, and people ask me, which one is your favorite restaurant? And I always say, the best Peruvian food is cooked at home. So with that in the back of our minds, we have to go into our food and think that we're gonna do as best as we can to please everybody. But as Peruvians, we know that the best Peruvian food, you always gotta eat it at home regardless.
Yeah.
So you have to come back. You have to go as close to that as possible.
Yeah, whenever I would travel outside the U.S., I would always try to meet somebody who worked at the hotel or out on the street and ask them, hey, can I come to your house and eat? Because I know that in these resorts, they have to cater to the tourists. But I want to go somewhere where the plates don't match, where people are using their hands because that's the culture. Where you get the real authentic flavors, well, because a lot of times in resorts and places like that, they cater to the tourists. They're not going to give you the authentic culture in the food. And you're right, you have to, eating in somebody's house is way different than going to a restaurant. I definitely agree with you on that.
Absolutely. Just following with this, what would you say your superpower is?
My superpower would be teaching. I love to teach. I love talking about food and history and science and anything that I have knowledge of. And I do it for free. My superpower is just teaching people and providing knowledge. What about you guys?
I like volume. You tell me to cook for 10,000. If you tell me to cook for 10 people, okay, but if you tell me to cook for 10,000, then I'll get excited. It's something. I see it more like it's easier for me to cook for 10,000 than for 10.
I'll agree with that.
I think I see everything in bigger proportions. It's easier for me.
For me, a superpower. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it, but something that I would like to have a superpower on is be able to manage everything better, because I take it when things go wrong, it's my fault. When things go right, it's the culmination of all your preparation. So I guess if I want to have a superpower, is be able to prepare better and better for whether it's a catering, whether it's the food truck going out, whether it's an opening of a restaurant, whether it's catering the White House, whether it's doing anything that we want to do, is just be able to prepare even better and better for. So when it comes to the showdown, everything goes smooth, and it's just you go in knowing that you're gonna win before you act.
Right. Now, do you factor in? Because I know I do. I factor in mistakes with every job. That anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and that kind of keeps me level-headed. How about you? Do you factor that in to your every event that you do?
I make sure my brother doesn't have those mistakes, and if he does, there's always a fight.
We try to argue as least as possible during the events, just so everything goes the right way.
As smooth as possible. Okay.
But communication is communication is right. So the more you communicate, like we were talking before, the more you ask, the more you communicate, the better things will go. The more clear-minded, the more clear you're gonna see things coming ahead.
It's amazing how beneficial a 30-minute meeting could be before a big event, to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, I always try to have a daily meeting before any event. And I'm glad you brought that up. So when it comes to your staff and letting them be creative, or letting them, because I'm pretty sure you have set recipes, but if there's an event like a customer requests a certain thing, are you comfortable with your staff using their knowledge to make that thing, if it's not something that you guys already make?
Well, what I tell my staff is if they feel 100% comfortable with whatever they're going to make, then if we have all the ingredients at home, if we have everything that he needs to make that, to go ahead and make it. But I will feel, after 9 years, I do feel comfortable with them making certain changes. Usually, if they're not 100% sure, they will give me a call right away. So I tell them if they can go ahead or not. But if they feel comfortable with it, they will make it and make sure that whatever they said or the reaction was, to let me know.
Yeah, the way I see it is that we have a lot of really good people in our team. And the thing I tell them is, like, we don't know everything. We know what we know, and we have really talented people in our team. So if you want to come up with a special or something to do it a little bit different, talk to us. Like I said, communication is key. If you see something that it could be done better, talk to us. If you want to tweak something better because it could be a little simpler, a little bit better, talk to us. Let's keep the ball rolling and keep improving. You mentioned staff and everything. Like, since we come from a sports background, for us, staff, it's great to have a good staff, but it's better to have a good team. It's better to have a good team, better than to have a good staff. Definitely. Just because with the whole team mentality is, we have to get through this together. We have to get better at doing things, and that's the one thing that I hammer towards in everybody. Like, we have to be a better team. We have to have better communication. We have to do things better, because if I come late and I don't do what I'm supposed to do, somebody else is going to have to do it, and that's just not how things work.
You guys know who Diddy? You ever heard of Sean Combs' Diddy?
Oh yeah.
So I took a page from his book. I hired people who were smarter than me. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. That means that I don't have anybody to learn from. So I try to hire people who have way more knowledge than I have. about what's going on. And then I also have a friend who lives in a different state that graduated from culinary school with me. I call her daily to run any ideas that I have by her. Because I know she'll say, no, chef, that won't work because the acid in this will break it down. Or chef, if you ball it up like this, you'll create more moisture. So So I always try to surround myself with people who have way more knowledge than I have. I might have more drive than them because I'm the owner, but I want to make sure that they have more knowledge than I have. And I always let people know one of the reasons why I hired you is because I believe you can do the job. If I have to come and say, now do it this way, do it that way, do it this way, then maybe I made a mistake in hiring you. I want to give, hey, one instruction, and then you go for it, and then you put your own you into it, because I believe in the people who are on my team.
Absolutely, that's very important to have that mentality of not a know-it-all, but more like welcoming ideas and welcoming other people's knowledge.
Yeah.
So chef, what's next for you? What's this year? What's 5 years from now? What's 10 years from now?
So right now, I'm trying to master the cafeteria services that I'm running. Because of the times we're in, I'm having to reinvent myself, which is okay. I'm glad that I have the fortitude and the know-how to do it. So I want to tighten that up. I most recently, I think I just got a job as a culinary instructor at night at one of the local colleges. I had an interview, so I'm actually about to take my dream job of being a culinary instructor. So with those two things, I'm going to build on those. And like I said, build my team. And hopefully some of the people on my team want to open up their own businesses, because one of the things that I discussed during the interview process is my goal is to help you open your own spot. I will hire somebody who does not want to own their own spot, but I really want people who want to own their own business, because I'm a teacher and I'm a giver. My menu and the way that I do things are so simple. I could teach my daughter to do them if she's willing to learn. So right now, my next move is just to strengthen up the contracts that I have, work on getting a school contract with one of the charter schools, and really, really getting to the culinary instructor aspect of the business. How about you guys?
I think for us, we started with one food truck. We went to 3 food trucks. We have a catering department that it's booming. We have a great team here. We opened our first restaurant that is inside a Latin market. So we have a concept of the food trucks. We have the concept of the catering. We have the concept of the hot sauce. We have the concept of a small space inside what you call a market, a food hall. Now we're in talks with to open our first bigger sit-down restaurant for us, more of a fast casual, but more of just ourselves rather than being part of something bigger. Okay. So mastering that aspect of it. So our end goal is to grow Peruvian Brothers to the point that you can get it everywhere, and you can get the same quality of Peruvian food everywhere, and have it be able to be more established, rather than there's a lot of Peruvian places that open and close because people are just trying to make a quick buck. And what we want to do is establish us more and keep growing and be able to compete with Chinese food, Italian food, that, you have all these places that you can eat pizza, Thai food, hamburgers, and things like that. We want to make sure that we are everywhere, not only Washington, D.C., but in Virginia and Maryland. We've had opportunities to go down to Miami, to San Francisco, to Texas, and be able to keep expanding and keep moving Peruvian food everywhere and with the same quality, and have people fall in love with the food. Mario,
you want to tap into that?
Well, basically, my brother said it all already, but what's next for me is get better. Me as an owner, I have to always keep getting better and better and better to be able to teach whoever comes into our team. So, and also what's next for me to keep growing my own family also as well. You can't forget those.
Yeah, you can.
But for work-wise, it's just keep getting better, more knowledgeable, better techniques. We have to be like a sponge, always learning something every day. If you don't learn something in a day, that means that you lost the day. So you always have to be learning.
Yeah,
that's what's next for me.
I tell you, one of the other things when it comes to growth, because I am a caterer and a lot of my catering menus are all custom. I rarely get to put together a menu that just represents what I want my food to be. So once I got the contract, it allowed me to kind of step back because my contract menu is a certain thing. It's the same food every day because we can't change the menu. But what I'm doing is I'm building out a menu that may not be popular with everybody, but it's the food I want to do. And because the catering and the teaching and the contract takes care of the bills, this will allow me to take my time and build a menu that I can kind of sit to the side. So if I do decide to open a restaurant, I don't have to beat my brain up trying to find a menu that is cohesive and that goes together and that works and that does not have a flow to it. So that's one of the things that I'm working on in the future is put together a menu that represents me and what I believe in. Because a lot of times as a caterer, you have to do what's popular. You have to do, especially in this area, you have to do the crab cake, the shrimp, the sauce, the rice, and it seems to be the same thing over and over and over and over. And I don't want to be that chef. I want to put a menu out that people are going to look and go, huh? But when they try, they go, ah. So I did a dinner party maybe about a month ago, and the customer said, "Do what you want." I was like, yes. So what I did was I tried the menu out. So I had this dish that I make with black-eyed peas. And I said, okay, I'm going to try this out just to see if it works. And I tried it on them and they loved it. So that gave me a little bit of confidence. So just to know that, okay, if I decide to open a restaurant, then I know I'm going in the right direction with this particular menu that I have. So that's one of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to. If I decide to go the restaurant route, have a set menu for my restaurant that'll work. That may not be popular until you try it.
Chef, how can we follow your progress?
Well, you can check me out on Instagram at Eat170 or at eat170.com. What about you guys? Because I was going to ask, because I want to come try some of this food.
Well, let us know when you want to come to the Union Market District. That's where we are. We try to post a few times a week any new specials or anything that we have going on. You can follow us at PeruvianBrothers.com on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We try to hit all the social media platforms, but Peruvian Brothers, that's where you can find us. And by all means, let us know when you want to swing by. We'll be more than happy to host you and show you a few tricks up our sleeve.
The kitchen that I rent is not too far from there, so I'm definitely going to stop in because I am a fan of all foods.
Let us know, and also we'll be following you because that restaurant that you're talking about, we want to go try it.
Oh yeah,
especially if you do what you want to do and not the menu that you have to do every day.
Exactly. So I'm building it out. I actually sent that menu out to somebody today because they were looking for some. They said they wanted a menu that represented Black culture for Black History Month. So I sent it out, and I'm crossing my fingers and toes that they go for it because, like I said, it's something I want to do versus what's popular in the area.
Excellent. We look forward to keep the progress and come visit us anytime. And who knows? Maybe we can collaborate sometime in the future. Mix a little bit of the DC culture food with a little of Peruvian and make a nice. Good food is good food.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Same here. Well, Mario and Giuseppe, it's truly been a pleasure talking to you. I definitely enjoy the passion. I'm a fan of you guys' business. Got your mom, your family business, and you guys leaning on each other to have a successful business, and the fact that I can tell that it's about the food and wanting people to understand and know and feel a piece of Peru, because a lot of people don't put that in their food. So I'm already a fan and I haven't even tried the food yet. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chef. It was great to meet you over the phone. Hopefully we'll get to meet each other in person. We can try each other's food and hopefully work together in the future.
I'd love that.
Yeah, Chef Vernon, it's been a truly pleasure to see your trajectory and what you've done and how much passion you put up. Traveling back and forth between Florida and DC is not easy for that many years. And good luck with everything. Good luck coming up with new plates and new flavors and be able to teach more of the DC history to everyone else, because there's so much to it.
Yes, thank you.